This restricted the power of private Federal Reserve banks to loan money to the government, which incurred a never-ending debt. Executive Order 11110 gave the power to issue currency back to the government. This allowed the Treasury, quote, to issue silver certificates against any silver bullion, silver, or standard silver dollars in the Treasury. This is all that is needed, a presidential decree to oust the Federal Reserve once and for all. He was successful. Executive Order 11110 is still written up into law today. Yet no president has utilized this convenience as a means to reduce the $8 trillion debt currently incurred by the government. I wonder why. Yeah, that's right. 5 months after JFK signing this bill. Headshot. If you haven't figured it out yet, these bankers are serious. Deadly serious. It's not the purpose of this episode to investigate and question the lone gunman theory, but keep it in the back of your mind. I plan to cover it later. This was more than an assassination. This is a warning. A warning to presidents, a warning to leaders, a warning to academics, a warning to anyone that dare question the mainstream misconception of currency and the role of banks. These people have a plan, and they won't tolerate anyone getting in their way. If you watched the first episode of this series, I included John F. Kennedy's concern of a, quote, monolithic and ruthless conspiracy. It was my aim that these 3 episodes progressively revealed what this secret actually is. I'm starting with the banks. Who today, despite this blatant warning, is willing to follow the path half paved by JFK? Who is willing to stand up against this myth of currency and break the shackles that the next generation must bear as a result of this fiat currency system and our ignorance? No president since ever has. Come today into the year 2007. An election is coming up. The lights, the balloons, the smiles. However, neither the left or the right even approach the idea of taking back control of a nation's currency supply, except for one man, Dr. Ron Paul. He has opposed all forms of internal security bills such as the Patriot Act. He has never voted to raise taxes. Indeed, he is the only candidate on the platform who actually understands how they work. Check out what he has to say.
Yes, I think this is not a consequence of free markets. What's happening is there's transfer of wealth from the poor and the middle class to the wealthy. This comes about because of a monetary system that we have. When you inflate a currency or destroy a currency, the middle class gets wiped out. So the people who get to use the money first, which is created by the Federal Reserve System, benefit. So the money gravitates to the banks and to Wall Street. So that's why you have more billionaires than ever before. Today, this country is in the middle of a recession for a lot of people. Michigan knows about it. Poor people know about it. The middle class knows about it. Wall Street doesn't know about it. Washington, D.C. doesn't know about it. But it's because of the monetary system and the excessive spending. As long as we live beyond our means, we are destined to live beneath our means. And we have lived beyond our means because we are financing a foreign policy that is so extravagant and beyond what we can control, as well as the spending here at home. And we're depending on the creation creation of money out of thin air, which is nothing more than debasement of the currency. It's counterfeit, and it is a natural, predictable consequence that you're going to have people benefit from it and other people suffer. So if you want a healthy economy, you have to study monetary theory and figure out why it is that we're suffering. And everybody doesn't suffer equally, or this wouldn't be so bad. It's always the poor people, those on retired incomes, that suffer the most. But the politicians and those who get to use the money first, like the military-industrial complex, they make a lot of money and they benefit from it.
Thank you, Congressman. Congressman Paul, would we have gone to war in Iraq if we weren't so dependent on Middle East oil?
Probably not, but that should not be a reason. That's an old theory. It's mercantilistic. It's neo-colonialism that you have to maintain your supply routes and your natural resources. Indeed, this war is a mistake. It was a mistake to go in. It's very costly, and it has a lot of economic ramifications. We're going broke. We have this huge deficit. We're spending nearly $1 trillion with maintaining our empire overseas, and then we object. But that has to do with our monetary system as well as our foreign policy. So if we want prosperity, we have to change our foreign policy. We have to live within our means, but we can't maintain a reserve currency where all our greatest export today are paper dollars. We create money out of thin air, and they still accept it as if it was backed by gold. And that is the reason all this money goes overseas, and at the same time we finance all this military activity overseas. It's bankrupting this country. And not only that, it's a threat to our personal liberties here, and it's going to be a threat to our economy because we are beginning to live beneath our means.
Paul, do you believe the President needs authorization of Congress to attack strategic targets in Iran, nuclear facilities?
Absolutely. This idea of going and talking to attorneys totally baffles me. Why don't we just open up the Constitution and read it? You're not allowed to go to war without a declaration of war.
Republicans are known as the party of national security and of moral values, but polls also show that voters look now, at least, to the Democrats to handle the economy. How are you going to win back their confidence in order? Congressman Paul.
Well, first, we have to have a sound economy, and we don't. We're overtaxed. We're overregulated. We work with a currency that is non-functional, and our prosperity is slipping. And we are overextended overseas. You can't have a prosperous economy at home when you're spending all the money overseas. You can't even have a strong national defense if you're spending all this money overseas in wars that we're not winning. So if we want a prosperous economy here, we have to change these policies, and we can't be bailing out farmers and subsidizing ethanol. This is just the wrong way to go. The taxpayers pay for the subsidies, and then they pay for higher prices when they buy the gasoline or buy the food. It never works.
That's right. And he's running for president. In one of Dr. Paul's articles titled Paper Money and Tyranny, he details what's at stake if we continue to ignore the inconvenient truth about money. By resigning our power to handle money to these private banks, we trivialize the sanctity of power of the people. As a matter of fact,